Welcome back to Living Local. From Dole Whips to fireworks finales, Wolfe, founder of Disney Food Blog, has spent over a decade immersed in all things Disney, but her new book, Disney Adults, takes a more personal turn. It's a candid, heartfelt exploration of what it means to be a Disney adult who unapologetically loves Disney, and why that's not only okay, but worth celebrating. And join us now via Zoom is the author herself, Wolfe. Hey, welcome to the show.
Hey, Tristan, a decade? It's been 40 years of Disney for me.
I know. So thanks so much for doing this. You're a very big deal to me. So, why did you decide now was the right moment to write this book? What was the spark of inspiration?
Well, I think that since 2020, Disney adults have taken on a whole new presence in the on the internet, and so it was time to write the book. I collaborated with Simon & Schuster creating this, and I think that they are just as excited about getting the true story about this maligned subculture out there for everyone.
Yeah, and I was surprised that it didn't exist before now. And then when you announced the book, I was like, oh, of course that should be something, like, obviously. And, you've been living and breathing Disney through the Disney Food Blog, for years, and that's how I discovered you. And what was writing this book like? How was that different than what you do with DFB?
Completely different. So DFB is more of a guidebook, right? Disney Food Blog is a guide to saving money and having a great time in the theme parks, on the cruise ships, doing Disney. This book is a journalistic deep dive into this incredible, huge subculture of adults who love Disney, whether or not they have kids. And so this is looking at individual Disney adults, looking at their stories, looking at my story. I ran up my credit cards and went into debt to go to Disney World when I was younger. And so these are all things that need to be kind of drilled in on and looked at. Plus, Disney adults are a huge community that are actually having an impact, I think, on Disney's choices. So that's another interesting piece of how the communities online are now affecting the world that we live in a much bigger way. Yeah,
it's incredible. And you say, it's a love letter to the Disney adult, but you don't shy away from like the messy parts. And I love that because it's like true to life. So can you kind of dive into that a little bit?
Absolutely. There are chapters in this book that are very positive, that are very heartfelt, that will show you so many different types of Disney adults and the incredible work that they're doing in their communities. But there are also parts in this book that talk about Disney adults who have had a very, very dark element in their lives because of an addiction to Disney, whether they've run up their credit cards, gone overboard on spending, lost relationships because of it. And so I think looking at both parts, all the parts of this subculture is incredibly interesting, because online all you see is the stereotype.
Yeah. Well, and being a Disney adult, because I am one, and I get the side eyes here at work all the time, and I work in the entertainment industry. My wife's actually a cast member, and but there's, so we've really dove into being Disney adults. But what do you say to those people that kind of give that side eye, and have you seen anybody kind of come to the dark side after you've kind of like persuaded them in the right way?
Well, that's the thing. Disney is so good at what they do in terms of the psychology of grabbing a hold of you and making you realize that this is an incredible place to explore with your family, make memories. People remember this stuff for years and years, and they also connect it to families. And so I do think that people do come to the dark side. Obviously, Disney keeps getting bigger and bigger. It doesn't keep getting smaller. But in terms of the side eye, I think that that's something that people probably get for any outstanding hobby that they have that may be looked at a little bit differently from their peers. And I think people have a problem with Disney adults and folks who love Disney, because Disney is supposed to be for kids. But Walt Disney himself said you have to aim for the adults. You can't just aim for the kids, because the adults are the ones who spend the money.
Yeah, and being a Disney adult, of course, comes with joy, nostalgia, and there's always, that connection to our youth, I guess. But, how do you put all that down into words? I mean, that is a daunting task. When you first sat down, what was that like?
It was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Absolutely. But it was also a joy, because I knew that I was being entrusted with the opportunity to really give the truthful outlook on this community that a lot of people think they know, but they don't know at all. So
Yeah.
it's very exciting to finally have this be out there, and to have people look at this community in a whole different way.
Yeah, was that cathartic for you to kind of put a lot of this down into a book?
I learned a lot.
Did you?
I learned a lot about me. I learned a lot about the community I'm a part of, and I honestly love it even more. Even with all its warts and problems, I love it even more having written this book. I can't wait to
Yeah.
dive even further into this community.
Ultimately, what are you hoping people do walk away from this? Because I imagine this might get readers like me who are considered a Disney adult, but I know I have a brother who is not and doesn't understand it. And I have a feeling he would also read it just to be like, what is all the hype? So are you kind of hoping to catch?
I think there are two readers for this book. There's the Disney adults, and then there's the people who are like, what in the world is this, right? The people who are like, this is a train wreck and I gotta watch it. What I hope people walk away from this with is an understanding that this is a much, much, much bigger community than they think. You might not be able to spot a Disney adult out in your out at your grocery store or your community. Your doctor could be a Disney adult and have a Mickey Mouse tattoo and you never know it, right? Your priest could be a Disney adult.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's a much bigger community than you think, and it's a much more powerful community than you think in terms of making big change in both the Disney community with Disney, the Walt Disney Company. I think personally that Disney adults have a huge effect on what they're choosing to do, and I also think that they make a big change in each other.
Yeah.
So
I love
it's a big
that.
deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal. And did you, when you started all this years ago, did you think it would be what it is today? I mean, it's insane how much you've grown.
No. And I started this as a passion project, with my husband, because we were living in different cities and we wanted to do something together. And back in those days, there were no smartphones. There were no, there wasn't social media.
Right.
It wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
And so we just started this because I wanted to make sure people knew what food was available in Disney World so they didn't overspend or buy something they didn't want. It's grown so much, and our core ethos is still the same. Help people make sure that they have a great trip when they go, and save as much money as they can. That's the goal.
Yeah. Well, hey, AJ, this has been amazing for me to chat with you. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Tristan. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. For more information, you can visit ajwolfe.com or disneyfoodblog.com, and we'll have all those details posted at ourquadcities.com. More Living Local continues after